Welcome to another episode of Paddle Talk. On today's show, we're going to talk about the Sastuma, Florida race. We got interviews with Ken Donaldson, who's putting on that race, helping put on that race. And we got interviews with Matt Peters and Zora Peters. Very fun. And then we'll have a Throwback Thursday as well. Today's show is brought to you by Murray Power Sports. Murray Power Sports is a very small family-owned and operated business. Tim and Ginger Murray are off-road enthusiasts who turn their passion for the outdoors into a business, offering everything from ATV, UTV, and motorcycle service and repair to nearly any aftermarket parts and accessories, along with wheels and tires. But they've been most known for in recent years is their custom off-road wrap kits. They can help create a unique design that fits your style from mild to wild. Visit murraypowersports.com and you can find them on Facebook and Instagram at Murray Power Sports. Their website, once again, murraypowersports.com. That's murraypowersports.com. murraypowersports.com. And what we're going to open up the show with today is what happened over the weekend, not just my beloved Chiefs winning the Super Bowl. We're going to talk about the Pro Superstar Shootout that happened in Bradenton Motorsports Park in Bradenton, Florida. And, off rip, I'm just going to pass it to Isaac because he's got the picture of it. You all see it here in a second. Go ahead and tell people the beautiful news, like the new world speed record.
That's right. Bob Tasca, 341 miles an hour in 1,000 foot. The incrementals on that car, it was going 290 miles an hour in the 8th mile. That's 660 foot, basically a little over double what we run. That is just insane. Seriously, that is unbelievable. But what a great concept and a great weekend, right? I mean, 250 grand, I think it was, to win. 8-car funny car field. 8-car top fuel field, and I think they did a full 16 maybe on the pro stockers, but big money and not of the pressure of chasing points like the regular NHRA season. Really cool. And I tell you what, I'm really considering trying to see if I can't go down there maybe next year if they do it again next January, just for the weekend to spectate, because it looked unbelievable.
Derek Howard was there. It blew my mind because he kept posting videos on his Facebook. Shout out Derek.
That's awesome.
Promoter of Toka Motorsports Park in Toka, Oklahoma. He was there, and it was sweet because he was like posting it round by round. I was like, "This is better than flow racing" because I'm getting it right here on Derek's Facebook. This is awesome. Damian, thoughts
on that 341 pass? Did they have a 330 time posted anywhere?
Not that I saw. It might be out there someplace. I did not see it.
That's the number I'm kind of curious on, even though it obviously going to be way faster than what it do on dirt.
Right? Just by eyeball watching that pass, that car makes a move about the 8th mile, and it just goes.
And John Force was right on every incremental up until John smoked the tires, was right there with him.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It very well could have been side by side, both of them over 340 miles per hour.
Phenomenal that the fastest thing in drag racing right now, and we're back to a funny car instead of a top fuel car.
Feels like 1990 again with John Force and Joe Amato.
Absolutely. So,
John or Dave, you got any thoughts about 341 mile an hour?
I can do it. Anybody but Bob Tasca, man. Come on, guys. I liked Bob Tasca for a while. Then there's something about him. Rubbed me wrong.
Who did you want to do it?
Hey, he ditched John Force. I'm sorry. I didn't like it. It was over for me. The relationship was done.
Bob was a sponsor for the race, man. Come on.
It is what it is.
Dave, you got any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, I don't remember the year, but they went from 1320 down to 1,000 foot to keep the speed down. Now they're going faster than they did then at 1,320 feet. Now, you guys, I think Damian mentioned something about the 330-foot marker. Guys, I'd say our best ET in 300 feet in the dirt, they got us in the 60 foot. You know what I mean? Like, they are just amazing.
Yeah.
What their 60 foot's 08, high 08, something like
Somewhere
that.
in
It's
range.
insane.
0.8.
I tell you where I got to give a thumbs up to is the tire manufacturers. Your Goodyears, how in the hell are them tires hanging on is beyond me.
I wonder what
It's
Not
tire
very
pressure he
much.
was running. I bet his
They're
tire
only getting
pressure.
5 or
I don't
6
know what it was.
passes out.
But I got the winners list from the 3 important classes, at least from Sunday. Pro stock final. Erica Enders defeated Dave Conley. She won 125 grand. Pretty sweet. She ran 653 in the finals. And then in funny car, Austin Prock defeated Matt Hagan, running a 384, 332 mile an hour. That's so fucking fast. He won $250,000. And then your top fuel final, which I thought was just awesome, is like a storybook matchup for anybody. No offense to you older guys, but like my dad's age. Doug Coletta versus Clay Milliken. That's pretty cool. Even like honestly, even me growing up watching NHRA when I was a kid, waiting for Sundays to come around so we could watch it on TV. And this Doug Coletta versus Clay Milliken matchup was awesome to find out that was the finals. And seeing Doug win it, I think that was even cooler.
Especially after the year last year, he had finally getting the
Yeah.
championship.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
How about, you talk about it, Billy. How about Austin Prock, though? Stepping into that car because Robert Heights got some health issues, steps into that thing out of his top fuel car and proceeds to win a $250,000 race right off the bat with your dad tuning it. How does that get any better, right?
John, you were going to say something about his dad.
Just what he said, father-son deal there, man. That was pretty epic right there. And their first time out together, that was awesome.
That's nuts.
You and I both have some experience with that kind of thing, John.
Can't beat it.
Our dad tuning us to wins.
For sure. That's awesome.
Guys, while you were talking about that, I did a little bit of research, kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier. October 30th, 2023, Mike Salinas, I can never pronounce that man's name. Mike Salinas, his 60-foot time was a .83. His 330-foot time, this is the quickest in NHRA history that I can find. Now, this may have changed. 2.100.
Crazy to think Dennis Wright had
330
been
feet.
that friggin' close to that same 300-foot time.
Dennis
Can
Wright
you guys
wasn't that far
imagine
off.
The
No.
guys
He
that
had
were,
212 one time, didn't he?
Yes.
Never backed it up, but
No.
Dennis Wright went 216 and 221 that I know of.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
great nerd. That's a great nugget there. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So that's our pro Superstar Shootout recap. Pretty sweet. I didn't watch a single bit of it. I just waited for Derek's videos to be posted. And then John actually sent me the winners list on Sunday after it was all said and done. So shout out to John.
You got it.
So now we're going to move on to this race that's being put on in Sastuma, Florida. I need to actually pull up the flyer on my phone. Where's this flyer? Damian, you want to talk about this race for a little bit while I find this picture on my phone?
about best thing I can say about it is Satsuma, Florida, just at Dirt Motorsports, track owned by a puller out of Wisconsin. They just had a big tractor pull there here a weekend or two ago, and they're getting ready to host their first sand mud drag race. It's going to be a 200-foot race, all heads-up classes. Their timing system, for some reason, isn't quite up to snuff to run a bracket race yet, so they're going to have a consistency class. But some bigger names in the sport down there looking to try and show up with some trucks and buggies and rails, big 800-inch nitrous motors and so on.
Where is the location?
this is actually their second race.
Oh, that's right.
So I was at their first one.
Dave, where's
they
this
had,
race?
Yeah, they had a tractor pull as well. We started off with the drag racing and then finished it off with the tractor pulls. And I'm telling you, it was so much fun. I got to be honest, out of all the drag racing I've done, and I just got to be honest, that was probably the most funnest I've ever had, was that day down there. I had an absolute blast.
Where exactly is this track at?
It is just outside of Satsuma, Florida, north side The address is 1009 Highway 17, Satsuma, Florida. It is just at Dirt Motorsports. It's an old dirt oval racing
The
facility.
address? You knew the address?
I already pulled it up on Google
Just
Maps.
right. Oh my god! I thought I was off the top of the head. The encyclopedia does it again. That's insane.
It's just south of Jacksonville.
Okay.
It's about
Okay.
45 to an hour south of Jacksonville.
So not
Yeah.
that far into Florida then. Definitely
Yeah.
reachable from here.
And
I'm
planes,
leaving.
that's for sure.
I'm leaving Friday morning. I'm heading out early Friday morning, going down and helping Ken get everything, whatever I can do to help him get things set up, and we're gonna go for it. So,
Well, it looks like they got 2 flyers for this race. One of them I'm looking at actually has your car on it, Dave. So that's awesome.
yes,
And
Yeah.
is David Petrie going to this race?
that I don't know.
He is supposed to be bringing the I know at least the little maroon Jeep he brought to Gravelrama here
Yeah.
a couple of years ago. He's supposed
That
to
thing
be
was
taking
awesome.
there, according to Ken. We discussed that again in the podcast. Ken said he's heard as many as 4 different Puerto Rican cars supposedly, so maybe even might get to see Gaddafi out.
Ooh, that would be
Wow.
sweet. If Gaddafi went there, that'd be nuts. That would be insane. We'll have to educate Dave on who Gaddafi is and go from there. So,
Well, legitimately, was the king of Puerto Rico's sand drag scene for the better part of 20 years.
Well, I am definitely
We'll
looking
get-
forward to it for sure. But
I'll
I
say
am
them guys
definitely a
have
little
plenty of
bit
good food.
worried. I am
Hold
definitely
on,
a little
Dave.
bit.
Dave, what'd you say? Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
I'm sorry. I said I'm definitely looking forward to heading down there Friday. But I'm also a little bit worried because I don't know how many side-by-sides are showing up, and I'm going to be against these bad boy trucks and rails, and who knows what the hell's going to be down there. And I'm like, oh my God, do I even take it out of the trailer? Did I
Oh,
just,
come on.
Yes.
I mean, if you make it there, you might as well take it out of the trailer.
I might as well.
Watch him win.
turn
He's
the
gonna win
boost-
it for us.
I
Turn
see
the
how this
boost
is
up
going to
to
go.
pray. Just turn the boost up to pray and hold on.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to cut it away to our interview with Ken Donaldson and enjoy that. It's very informative. I messed my words up. I'm going to cut that out. That's not what I said.
Informative.
There you go. It's very informative about the race that we were just talking about. The classes for this race, before we forget, are I started looking for a picture of Gaddafi and I got thrown off. Here we go. Classes for this race, and we talk about it in the interview, and Ken kind of expands on these. They got mod, they got side by side, and they got street class. And in this other flyer, it says open class heads up, and they're gonna have a consistency class. If you don't know what that is, Ken will tell you in the interview. It's very cool. They did it when we went to San Antonio. It's awesome. Dave, you got an ad read?
Yes, as a matter of fact, we have an ad read for Mr. RPM Cycle. He is out of Denton, North Carolina. He designs, manufactures, and sells high-performance engine components for Can-Am engines and specializes in the V-twin engine. They have an in-house dyno for all your mud bog drag racing needs. They also have a full line of cams, heads, and they make a absolutely awesome billet block. I've seen it in person. I've had it in my hand. It's a sight to see, to say the least. They also do in-house ECU tuning. They have big bore kits, turbos, blowers, and nitrous oxide builds. Keep in mind, he specializes in the V-twins. Please take a look at Mr. RPM Cycle for all your V-twin needs. You can get them at their website at www.mrrpmcycle.com. That is mrrpmcycle.com.
All right. Here is Ken Donaldson and Matt Peters and Zora Water Peters. We are back with a very special guest. His name is Ken Donaldson, and we're just going to kind of dive right into it here. I know you've been involved in sand drags around the 90s, and you used to own a chassis shop, but tell me and our listeners, real quick, Dave Applegate and Damian Bowers are with us as well. Tell us a little bit about yourself real quick.
Well, my dad started racing when I was like 6 years old. We've been he sort of got into one of the early members of Tri-County four-wheelers. And my dad had a lot to do with the founding of East Coast Four-Wheel Drive Association. He was like the second president or something like that of it. So I've been around since I was 6 years old. And it's just kind of snowballed from there, multiple different cars in the earlier years. And, you know, I don't know. I ended up quitting or not getting out of racing for a little while when the sport was starting to die down, and went drag racing for a little while. And yeah, decided when I actually got a little older, we were at one of the 50th anniversaries for Tri-County's grounds, and there was a bunch of guys, my old buddies there, and we all kind of were saying, we need to get back and do some of this. So that's kind of what brought me back in. A bunch of us all decided to build new cars, and
Nice.
here I am.
That's awesome. You got some great friends, it sounds like, to inspire you to build a whole car. And just real quick about your car, Bronco, can you tell us a little bit about your Bronco? It's just sitting right above your head there, and it's behind both pictures of Damian and Dave as well. But tell us a little bit about that Bronco.
Well, it's a 363 cubic inch small block Ford, blown injected on alcohol. The engine was built by Tony at BES Race Engines in Indiana. It's got a power glide transmission. It's a Rossler transmission, and it's basically mostly almost a full chassis car. It's still got kind of stock frame rails in the front of it, but that's all tied together. Back half, round two back half.
Really sweet. Do you remember the fastest pass that you had with that, real quick? Because you used to be our C Sport Modified record holder, and can you tell everybody what your fastest pass was with it?
Well, the fastest pass that I've ever had, the ET kind of got screwed up, and we don't know exactly what it was, but according to my computer in the car, it was somewhere in the 340 to 342, and it was 90, whatever the record, 96 or yeah, whatever that record was, I can't remember, but it's actually been 97 miles an hour.
Damian, you got it there by chance?
That's what I'm trying to work on here.
It's okay. It's all good. Yeah, it's awesome vehicle. It really is. It always takes a pretty picture. It looks like Damian's take a few of it, obviously. You got it down there in Florida with you, correct?
Yes.
And you're going to run it down there for your race in Florida, which we're going to get into here in just a moment.
Yes. Yeah.
Great. That's awesome. I'm going to cut this out because I'm kind of
So it's Billy, it's the track is Just Add Dirt, if that's what you were looking for.
Is that the name of the guy's pulling tractor as well?
I was looking for that. Yeah.
Or Just Add Dirt Motorsports, correct, Ken?
Just Add Dirt's Motorsports.
Yeah.
He's got a really nice couple of pulling tractors, actually. I don't remember the name of them, to be honest with you.
Well, I know you used to run a chassis shop. Did you build that chassis that you run now? Part
of it. I bought the car from one of the guys up in Cleves, actually. It was steel quarter panel Bronco. I believe it was actually a mud bog car before Ron Trainer got it. And John, I think, did some work to it. And I didn't like the quarter panels that were on it. They were full of mud. And, you know, of course, I had a whole bunch of fiberglass stuff. So I kind of redid the whole front half or the whole front end of the car and left the back half. He did a really nice job on the back half. I left that, and then I put all new panels on it, basically.
Well, I'm kicking it over to Dave. He's got some questions about the side-by-side aspect of the race coming up, and he's also got the flyer right behind him. So take it away, Dave.
Well, Ken, I greatly appreciate you coming on with us. I appreciate you, me and you got a hold of me. We talked about this. I'm going to do my best to help you, gain some racers down there. But first, when you said your engine, that's Tony Bischoff?
Yes.
So Tony, I know Tony. My dad knows Tony. I got a lot of friends that runs Tony's engines. Tony's bad. That boy he is amazing in that area. A buddy of mine's got a Camaro. His name's Mark Brown. I think it's 426 small block Chevy. Man, putting some power down. 900 horse out of that little small block, naturally aspirated.
Yeah.
Tony is an amazing person. As a matter of fact, Billy, maybe someday we need to reach out to Tony and see if we can't get him on, because he is very well known in the engines.
I'm down.
Yeah, he started out racing sand drags back in the early.
Oh, yeah.
And I met
Yeah.
him a long, long time ago. Plus, I lived in Cincinnati for 5 years and kind of did some stuff. And I always said, if I'm going to have somebody build an engine, it's going to be him, because in my opinion, he's one of the best in the country. And I used to work for GM Performance, and I know he does stuff on some of the new model or Camaro stuff, and for the drag racing program for GM Performance. And he's, like I said, he's, in my book, he's one of the best there is.
Oh, there's no doubt. And, as me and you have spoke on the phone before, I'm originally from Cincinnati as well. But the Bronco, dude, that's just badass, man. I don't know, man. I just love that truck. It's talked about a lot, and, very happy to have you. It's very happy to see you doing what you're doing. So
thanks a lot.
how did Billy kind of touched on it for a minute? How did you, before we get into some of these classes, how did you get involved with Just Add Dirt? Because I was there and it was still called Putnam,
Right.
Putnam. How did you get involved with that? Just kind of give us a little idea how this started to get this race down there.
All right. Well, I bought a house down here 2 years ago because I needed to get the heck out of the cold, and
Can't blame you there.
I came, or every day almost, I go past this old racetrack. It was a circle track, and I kept thinking, man, that would just be a phenomenal place, great facility. It's a big enough track we could put on a decent length race, Got to talk to him last year a little bit, but he was getting ready to go back home. So we kind of put it off till this year. And when he came, because he lives in Wisconsin, the owner Mark does, and he goes back. He's kind of like me. He comes down in October, goes back in May, usually somewhere around there. This year he's actually leaving in March. So when I got a hold of him, he said, yeah, we can do something like that. Well, I have a couple things going on. This truck pull that he just had last weekend, which was phenomenal. And I have to give kudos to him. He did a bang up job. It was smooth and everything the whole place went really good. They had and you guys may not believe it, but I'll bet I'm not sure how many people there were, but I'm guessing there was between 3,000 and 5,000 people there both days.
Oh, I definitely believe it with track. And I'm more surprised that kind of turnout down in Florida, but up here it's easy.
This whole area is starving for stuff to do. All the people that live down here, everybody I talked to said we need to get something going in that place. So, like I said, I went down and talked to him. He said, well, we got about a 2-week window here, or 3-week window. He said, we can do something on the 17th. And I said, well, let me reach out to as many people as I can and see what kind of a turnout I can get for you. And so far, it's been really good, actually. It sounds like we're going to have a pretty decent amount of cars. I really don't want to make any predictions yet, but you know how the internet stuff goes. People tell you they're going to be there and don't show up. But the people I've spoke to in person are dragging quite a few cars up here, and the quality of the cars, by the sounds of it, I know a bunch of them personally from being down here and racing. We're talking Jeeps and Broncos that got 600 to 800 cubic inch big blocks in them with multiple stages of nitrous. So typical MRA type stuff, like their pro stock class or whatever you would call one of their open class.
Right.
So it sounds like there's going to be a pretty decent setup, I hope, or amount of cars.
Well, I think we may have gotten, I shouldn't say I got ahead of myself there. Let's back up real quick. So we are looking at Just Add Dirt Motorsports on February 17th. The way I see it is our gates open at 9 a.m.
Right.
Registration 10 to noon, obviously give or take, I'm sure. We've got, and this is at 1009 Highway 17 South, Satsuma?
Satsuma, yes.
Satsuma, Florida. And I'm going to go ahead and put the phone number out there. And this phone number, if you can help me, Ken, I'm going to say the phone number and you say who to ask for. It's 386-222-9251. And does that go to the track?
That's directly to the track, and it's hard to tell who will answer. Mark is the owner, and his wife's name is Stacy. I'm not, who knows who'll answer the phone, but that's the actual track number.
Are people, those that are watching or listening, they can also reach out to you for information as well on the race. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. How's the registration going to work as far as the entry fee, possible payout? How are you guys doing that?
All right. We're going to collect, actually, all the entry fees are going to be $50 to start off with. That gets the driver and the car in for the race. There is going to be a charge if there's more people come with the racer. I think it's a $10 a person that's coming with, like a pit crew.
Like a gate fee? A gate fee to get in?
Yeah, it's like a gate fee to get in for the people that are coming with the racers. And then, of course, there's going to be a $20 gate fee for the spectators and stuff.
Okay. And they got food there. They got, what?
It's a great facility for that. They've got a complete grandstand type of setup. They've got 3 big rows of bleachers down the straightaway. They've got a tower basically in the center grandstand, where they do all the announcing and stuff from. They've got concession stands there. I don't know if he's going to bring in another food vendor or not, but they do have a concession stand that had, your typical pizza, hamburgers, hot dogs, and chips and all that, all the soft drinks. And they do serve beer there. They have a beer license, so there's going to be beer available at the track too, if anybody wants it. The gates are going to open at 9 a.m., but we're going to actually open the gate up Friday because there's a bunch of people, sounds like, coming in from out of town.
Me as well. I'll be there Friday.
So the gate will be open Friday. You can come in, camp. Like I said, we want to have everybody try and be in the gate by 9 o'clock Saturday morning. Everybody registered by noon, and then we're going to go from there. We're kind of playing it by ear right now because we don't know how many cars we're going to get. The classes themselves are going to be an open class, and down here they run what's called a consistency class. They're going to have that. Pretty much anybody can fall into that class. The open class is going to be pretty much the baddest of the bad. Bring what you got. Any tires, anything, whatever you want to have. And it's going to be a heads up. First guy across the finish line wins.
And this is, if I remember correctly, when me and you were talking on the phone the other day, for this race, we're looking at 200 feet for now. Is that correct? But that may change down the road.
Yeah, it may change down the road. I'm not exactly sure. And we may even, I'd love to get my car out on the track before we actually put the timing equipment up and see how much shutdown we actually have. The track is 700 feet long from end to end, plus the corner. So, and the corner's pretty sweeping. So should be able to scuff up enough speed by then to get, go around the corner and stuff. But
well, I know when me and my buddy KD and some other guys went down there 2 years ago when we raced, we did do 300 feet. And I know we was pushing 80 miles an hour in the side by sides, and we didn't have any problem stopping. So we're talking a lot lighter vehicle than you guys in the truck. So, that's obviously a safety concern, I'm sure, for yourself and the track owner.
Plus, the other reason it was 200 foot is just about everybody down here runs 200 feet. It's kind of strange, but MRA apparently is mostly all 200-foot tracks too. So all the guys that were racing years ago basically have all been running 200. Apparently, some of the tracks have closed down. So apparently, there was a couple of tracks that were 300 foot, but everybody down here is telling me they're geared for 200. So that's kind of the other reason.
Got a couple more real quick questions for you, then we're going to turn it over to Damian. So we've got when you say open, so obviously, I have a side by side and I'm coming down, and there's other side by sides coming. So we can run. Actually, we could run you, right? I mean, we could run you. What about the four-wheeler side of it? Are we looking at some four-wheelers coming down as well?
Well, there may be some. I've talked to a few guys down around the Orlando area. Some of the guys from Puerto Rico actually that live up here by Orlando. The guys that came up to the USA versus Puerto Rico race at Cincinnati Gravel-Rama a couple of years ago, and I know that they're going to bring a few or at least 4 Jeeps with them, and I know they run quads. They have asphalt quads, and they also put paddle tires on them. So there's a real good possibility there'll be some quads anybody can run, and we'll try and work on whatever we can do to kind of match everybody up. You know what I mean? If we have to make another class if we get enough and have to make another class for quads, I'm sure we can do that. But,
Well, that's good. How about real quick the time runs? What are y'all's plans as far as it says that what it was? I'm sorry, I had this up. Registration 10 to noon. Race I think starts at 2. Is that right? So, is it like noon to 2 for time runs, or are they going to be? I don't know. A lot of us like running at night. Is that going to happen, or?
Yeah, that kind of is the plan. I'm hoping we may stretch the schedule out a little bit. Like I said, depends on how many cars we get. If we get a whole bunch of cars, I'm sure that 2 o'clock probably won't be till 4. We're trying to keep it fairly early because at the truck pulls, they started at 6:30, and by 10:30, I mean, it was cold. It was cold outside. So, yeah. But that's all still we just kind of threw those times out just to go by. But I don't know if we're going to stand by those times exactly or not. Like I said, all depends on the show, how many cars show up.
Is there a curfew? Is there a curfew?
No.
Well, that's awesome. No curfews, rock.
That's for sure.
Dave, you got anything else?
Yes, I know Damian. I'm sorry, guys. I know.
You're good. Go ahead, bro.
Sorry about that. We went over to side by sides, went over some four-wheeler guys that might be coming. I know I met some of them four-wheeler guys in the Orlando Orlando area. I think a few of them was up there at Lumber River here in November last year. Great people, had a lot of fun with them. When it comes to the trucks and the full size, blacktop, I'm all about it. Dirt, I do not know. This is where Damian shines. So I'm going to hand it over to Damian. He's going to have some questions for you that I really don't know. But I greatly appreciate it, Ken, for what you're doing, helping to grow the sport and helping to get these new tracks like them. I mean, that's fantastic. So, Damian, it's all yours.
You've been helping me out a lot, too. So, thank you very much.
Thank you,
yes,
Ken.
Sir.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Dave. Damian.
No, I know several of the people that you've said are coming along. Scott Cluxton, he's bringing his, I believe he calls it the Stinger, that rear engine rail. He's got the 632 in.
Yes.
He just recently bought another rail and put a small block Mopar in. And unfortunately, he won't be able to bring the Rattler after a real nasty accident last year. Any other big names you know right off the top of your head?
I don't know how many of the guys know anybody, but I've talked to Ken. Oh boy, what's his last name?
Donaldson.
I can't think of his last name, darn. Anyway, he's got a Bronco. He runs MRA, and I think he runs like the pro stock class or something in MRA with cuts. He got a pretty nasty 700 or 800.
Real low slung Bronco.
Yeah, real low slung. There's 2 or 3 of them in MRA that look alike, and he's got one that's actually been one of the fastest. Couple of the faster guys out there.
Oh yeah, the MRA pro stock classes, they're getting crazy. If they ever came to 300 foot, they'd be contenders there with our A Sport modified and A modified 4-wheel drive record.
That's for sure. They've got some really killer trucks out there. Some guys from down around Fort Myers area are bringing some fairly big cubic inch trucks and a Jeep that's got a 700 cubic inch big block Ford in it that runs really good, multiple stages of nitrous. Aaron Smith is the guy I've been talking to down there. I met him racing, but yeah, no, I don't know if you remember, Damian, but at the Since Gravelrama race, the guys from Puerto Rico, that brown stretched out CJ5.
Yeah, the one really every pass.
Yeah, that car is coming. And I'm not sure exactly what other ones, but they told me there'd be probably 4 of them, if not more.
I don't know what all Puerto Rico are in the States. I believe that the Gaddafi Jeep is still down in Florida. It was at the race in Newtown. There's that was one of the baddest Jeeps in Puerto Rico for the longest time, running a big block with a lot of nitrous.
Right. Yeah, I don't know which cars to bring for sure. I know there's a dragster down here. But I don't know. I talked to the guy or Dave, I can't think of his last name now either. He's got a shop down here, and he's the one with the brown stretched out CJ5.
Right. And hopefully you'll see some guys. I know that in Georgia, and this is going to be, I remember the names of the guys right off the top of my head. They have several different vehicles they run right now, from modified down to the pro stock, and maybe even in super stock that they ran. They ran an old track in Georgia that was very often shown on the NMRO television coverage from Trucks and Tractor Power on TNN. And they've actually been campaigning 2 or 3 trucks out of Georgia, and hopefully we might see them make the trek down there into Florida.
We are guys coming down from Georgia. There's a whole crew of trucks from Jacksonville area. Like I said, I've talked to some guys from Georgia. They all keep telling me they're coming. I don't know exactly what trucks they have for sure, but I know that there's some people coming from there. I've got a positive from a guy in Mississippi bringing down like a dragster style 4-wheel drive dragster. We even got 2 guys coming up down here from Tri-County, actually.
Yeah, I remember you saying that, and they're both older members of the East Coast 4-wheel drive community too.
Who are they? Yeah, I was about to say, who are they?
John Monolakis and Brent Ziegler.
John Monolakis, more famous in this area for his Sorcerer car, ran a Pontiac Tempest style 4-cylinder with a blower on it and a Jeep Funny car. But right now he's been beating the death out of a little stick shift V6 nitrous injected Willys.
Yeah, it's actually the Sorcerer car was his brother Nick's.
Oh, okay.
That car,
family.
Yeah, same family. John has his V6 since the 80s, and it's carbureted. Yeah, it's carbureted 225 cubic inch, old school, odd fire or V6 like the Jeeps actually had, and a whole pile of nitrous on it. It's a wheelie machine. It's kind of fun to watch.
Yep, and then the Brent Ziegler, he's got is it still Mopar powered? I know he got rid of the turbos.
Yeah, I don't think he put any turbos back on it. I believe it's, I'm not sure. I think it's a 440 though, or some sort, the bigger cubic inch Mopar.
Oh, definitely. It's nice to see some people actually getting out traveling. It's especially with it being such a short notice race. That's
for sure. That's for sure. It came out I think I put it on Sand Drag Central first, and
definitely if it's a success this year, you might see some more from this area as well, like the Kerseys and whatnot. They travel to Florida from time to time throughout the winter months for vacation. You might see our mini buggy mile per hour record holder, Aaron Corner's car, and obviously Ronnie Kersey with his old turbo Volkswagen VR6 Alder.
Yeah. I've had actually Cole's kind of reached out to me a little bit, but I don't think they're going to come down, but they were asking questions. Actually, Brandy was. So I don't know if they were thinking about it at some point in time too, but I don't think they're coming this time.
I mean, if it works out, this has the potential to be kind of destination race in years to come.
Yeah, and hopefully, let's put it this way: if it turns out good, the owner's willing to go and do all the upgrades as far as timing systems so that we can do brackets or an index race or something on that lines too. He's very motivated to come down here while he's here and have some sort of motorsport events down here. So might be kind of neat.
Kind of a change of gears back to 300 feet before we take off here. What's your thoughts on the car that just right now he just barely took the record? They're aiming for 330s in that little Samurai for 100, but they took your record at just a hair over 96 miles per hour.
Right.
With that little Nissan motor.
Yeah, that thing's impressive. That's for sure. Glad to guess that record hadn't changed for a long time when I beat it. And
right.
Of course, all last summer I was trying for the ET and never really got any horsepower put down. I, trying to get the car going straight and everything. But we're gonna bump some horsepower up here this summer, and I want to get it back.
Well, I'm gonna throw it back on over to Billy to end this out for now.
Well, Ken, we really appreciate having you on here. Once again, he's race at Just Add Dirt Motorsports, Sastuma, Florida. They got mods, side-by-side, street classes. There might have some ATV classes, as you heard him say. We'll be live on there. Dave will actually be there going live on our Facebook page. And so you can check out all that on our Facebook page. And Ken, as I said, we really appreciate having you on. I got one more question for you, and the last question for you is brought to you by SM Engineering Design Build Tests. Sam McCrae's got flow fuel systems, dyno testing, fuel management, tune-ups, consulting, race pack and data acquisitions, wiring, and mechanical services. SM Engineering Design Build Test. Sam McCrae will get you right. smengineeringllc.com. That is smengineeringllc.com. And do you have any plans of traveling anywhere else besides Florida? You're down there in Florida right now for this race you're putting on. You're probably going to go back to Tri-County and hit the races they're doing there. I assume you'll probably be at Gravel-Rama or maybe even Brookville maybe. Do you plan on going anywhere further than that?
Yeah, I'm actually, I'm going to go up for the Silver Lake stuff, at least one of the races, if not two. David was telling me about the side-by-sides, and they're going to incorporate the stuff also. So I'm debating when to go up because I try and run that point series, the Outlaw Point Series deal. So I'll be at Brookville, I'll be at Cleves in May, of course, Gravel-Rama. Tri-County, I'd like to go, like I said, in Silver Lake. And boy, if I could afford it, I'd like to go out to Missouri and hit a couple of those races if I can too. But we'll see how things go.
It's my home track. We'd love to have that beautiful Bronco in Grain Valley, Missouri.
I'd come out there actually. Track looks beautiful.
You got any questions? Just hit my messenger. I'll be happy to answer those questions. I'd love to see that car there.
Cool.
Once again, on behalf of Dave and Damian and myself, thank you, Ken. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good one.
You too.
We hope you guys enjoyed Ken Donaldson. That was a fun interview. Before we get to Matt and Zora, we got another ad read from Murray Power Sports. Murray Power Sports in Winston-Salem, North Carolina is a very small family-owned and operated business. Tim and Ginger Murray are off-road enthusiasts who turn their passion for the outdoors into a business, offering everything from ATV, UTV, and motorcycle service and repair to nearly any aftermarket parts and accessories, along with wheels and tires. But what they've been most known for in recent years is their custom off-road wrap kits, where they can help create a unique design that fits your style from mild to wild. Visit murraypowersports.com. That's murraypowersports.com, murraypowersports.com, and also visit their Facebook and Instagram pages. Facebook and Instagram pages at Murray Power Sports. That is at Murray Power Sports. Once again, murraypowersports.com. And I believe Dave has another ad read.
Absolutely, we do. I appreciate everybody joining in and watching World Sand Drag News. And we've got Mr. RPM Cycle in Denton, North Carolina. They design, manufacture, and sell high-performance engine components for Can-Am engines and specialize in the V-twin engines. They have an in-house dyno for all your mud and drag racing needs. They also have a full line of cams, heads, and I got to tell you, their billet block, like I said earlier, is absolutely beautiful. He's I don't even know how much time the man put in it, but it is amazing. They also do in-house ECU tuning, big bore kits, turbos, blowers, and yes, I didn't mention this earlier, but yes, they do blowers on V-twins. Pretty impressive. Also, nitrous oxide builds. Please take a look at Mr. RPM Cycle for all your V-twin needs, and you can reach them at www.mrrpmcycle.com. It's mrrpmcycle.com. They are on Facebook as well.
Now, here is Matt Peters and Zora Waters Peters. We are back with a very special guest. We have two guests for you today. We have Matt Peters and his daughter, Zora Waters Peters. Very thankful to have you both on here today. If you are from the Ohio, Indiana area, you know these two very well. And let's just go ahead and get right into it. Can I please have you two introduce yourselves to our viewers and listeners for us, please? Zora, you can go first.
Hi, I'm Zora. Many of you guys listening might know me as the little black Jeep driver. I race little black Jeep, sand drag racing, and then I also go to nursing school. I'm a sophomore in college.
And I'm Matt Peters. I'm her dad, and I'm kind of living vicariously through her for all the racing that I didn't get to do. So we built a Jeep and we're having fun and we're going as many places as we possibly can, and met a lot of great people and hope to keep meeting more.
Well, that's really cool. We've been glad to know you and have you in the sport. We have John Sorg here with us as well. I have a question for you guys real quick just to get started. How long, Matt, well, first off, this is actually for Matt. How long have you been involved with racing itself, and when did sand drags come along?
So when I kept a picture here to make sense with this.
Okay.
When I was a kid in high school, this was me racing go-karts. All right. That was my big passion. That's what I wanted to do, to the point of it was expensive. So I would save my lunch money to put into fuel or entry fees or whatever and not eat at school. So that's funny. But once I graduated from high school, I went and worked on a pro racing team, Super V Series, because it was just a dream. And then I realized I didn't really dig living out of hotels, and I was way, way, way too shy back then. So it was tough. It was tough doing that, but I've absolutely always loved racing. Now, as far as when sand drags came in, Jeeps have always been around here, kind of like the working class hot rod, race car, utility vehicle, convertible, everything. So my dad, my uncles, family members had Jeeps with V8s in them back in the late 60s, early 70s. And there's a track I think it's the oldest track in the East Coast four-wheel drive group association called Tri-County. And it was disappointing on one of your other shows that a lot of people don't know about Tri-County, because it's one of the ones that's been around the longest forever. And Tri-County does need to do a better job of getting out there. But throughout, yes, sir.
Oh, well, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but somebody from Tri-County actually got in touch with World Sand Drag News and asked about coming out to the 60th anniversary race, because you said they've been around for a long time. 60 years?
Yeah.
300-foot sand drags is a long time to be open. That's crazy.
It is.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but yes, go ahead, please.
They've actually been around for a little bit longer than 60 years, but that was a few years into them being around is when they started their rodeo weekend, which is the 60th anniversary of the rodeo race. So,
wow.
Yeah. So there's literally pictures of me standing at the sand drags. There was a lot more dirt than sand at that time. That there's a safety cable that's about guardrail height, maybe 3 feet high. Me standing there with the cable in my hands above my head watching the races. So, I mean, throughout the 70s into the mid 80s, I don't think I missed a race. So it was one of those things that I always wanted to do. I always, I could name you 20 people that had cars that I just admired and loved, and it was just the best thing ever. But I never got to the point where I wanted to spend the money to actually build something to race. It just seemed like it was too far out of touch, and it was just too hard to spend that money, only to use it a little bit. And then down the road, you know, she got into junior racing, and from there, when she started liking it and started doing well, it was just like, let's do something. And what I always say is that building this Jeep, there's a ton of money in it, is the best money I've ever wasted. She's got a picture here she's going to show.
This
Yeah.
is
I'll get it closer.
little me and
Here, get
Dad
the
and
reflection off of it. Yeah.
Junior with my first Jeep.
So I remember that just like it was yesterday. That's like, you see this light? When this light turns on, then you're going to go. Don't wait for the green. Yeah.
That picture was taken at the very first race that I ever raced. And that race, I actually got first place.
That's awesome.
Well, that kind of leads into something, because I was going to ask, how old were you when you made your first pass, when you made your debut?
So I was around 7 years old when I started. And then I started in the junior class. And then I moved up to senior class with a like kids version of a Polaris Razor.
170.
And I stayed in that for a little bit. I unfortunately didn't get to race the little Jeep go-kart that long because I grew out of it. So then I moved to that kids Razor, and then I did adult quad with the normal size Polaris Razor for a little bit. And then that's when I would turn 15 and got my permit. And that's when we made the deal with Bull Run. Like, if we built a Jeep, would I be allowed to race in adult classes with my permit only, not just a driver's license? So that's kind of where the Jeep came into play.
And they made good on that. And this didn't happen just with us. So like my sister and brother-in-law helped out with, they bought her that Razor for Christmas. And, you know, it was a lot of stuff that would have been a struggle for us just to do on our own. So we've had a lot of help. And then like with Bull Run, well, like with Tri-County, she wasn't allowed to race until she was 16 in a full-size car. So Bull Run said, yeah, we'll let you do it at 15 and a half if you have a permit. And talking to Doug, I was like, listen, I want to say this for sure, for real, because if we time and the money and build a car from scratch, and then in April you go, no, I'm going to be mad. But they held to their word, and it was awesome. And we started that tubing got delivered over Christmas break, whatever year that was. And we had a full car built and testing at the first test and tune at Bull Run. And that wasn't even in April, wasn't it?
May 3rd.
Oh, May 3rd. All right. Part of May. So it was a lot of work. It was a lot of time. It was cool, but.
How was
Yes,
that
sir.
Jeep running whenever you guys first put it out there?
So
Do you have the first pass?
Yeah. So I'm gonna show you guys this.
We keep log books on everything.
I
like
have
it.
wrote down every single pass that Jeep has made from the very beginning until the last race of last year. I have 2 notebooks.
Every
write
single pass?
Yeah.
Yep, every single pass. I write down the race, where it was, the date. Even when we were starting to tune and stuff, I did the weather, what the weather was that day.
Yeah.
The pass number, which lane I was in, the time I ran it, the time that the Jeep ran, the reaction time in the 60 foot. And then I have, like, if we changed any shift points or anything like that, wrote down. So the
How
very
many books
first,
you got there?
That's in
2.
that's in chronological order.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So go back, tell them what the first
Yes.
pass was then.
So the very first pass of this Jeep, the time was a 5.28. My reaction time was a 0.528. How funny is that? And the 60 foot time was a 2.00. But Dad actually was the driver of that because I wasn't allowed to make the very first pass in the Jeep.
Oh.
So my first pass in that Jeep was actually pass number 3 on the Jeep, which was a 5.56 time. A reaction time was 0.497, better than Dad's, and a 6 foot of 2.09.
Okay.
And at the top of this, it says 70 degrees, cool, windy, wet, heavy, muddy track, tire PSI 4, then lowered to 3.5. So
that Bull Run.
that was a Bull Run. Yeah, very first pass in the big car.
Wow. Well, shout out Bull Run. R.I.P. That's crazy.
So tell us about the Jeep a little bit. What do you got for a power plant? Who built the chassis? I know you want to talk about the chassis.
Tell us how it started, and then tell us what it is now. Great question,
There you go.
John. Great question, John.
So, you want me to take this?
That's fine.
All right. So, trying to think of how this went. We knew what we wanted. We knew it needed to be a flat fender because I'm all about that. I knew I wanted it to be low. I didn't want a center seater roll cage. I didn't want an offset roll cage. I wanted it to look like a stripped down kind of pro stock looking car. I just like that idea. Yeah, but being a Jeep. So the idea was going fast costs a lot of money. Horsepower costs a lot of money. So we're going to build it, number one, as safe as possible, but then as light as possible. So spent the extra money on chrome moly tubing. But before that, we bought, actually off of Adam Fruth, bought a set of paddle tires and wheels. And then we bought, what did we do next? Did we buy the body next?
Yeah.
Then that's Seth Eaton, is that who that was?
Yep.
So off of Seth Eaton, we bought a fiberglass body that was in a whole bunch of pieces. That body, a long time ago, was John Monolakis's, and then it was somebody else before him. And then it went to, I think, Jim Broombaugh, and then Kenny Donaldson had it. And I know he's posted pictures of what he was doing with it. Ken Donaldson actually had that body sitting on that chassis that Cameron has right now at one point. Now, we're probably talking 20 years ago. But from there, it went to I don't know who, and then Tommy Eaton bought it, and we got it off of him.
His son.
Seth. Yeah. We got it off of Seth, not Tommy. I'm sorry. Shout out those guys. But we have some pictures of it literally sitting on some sawhorses with those paddle tires, just nothing else, trying to get a feel for what do we want. Then from that point, we started with the rear axle, had a Ford 9-inch that we retubed. I had her machine the housing ends for it, just square them up on the lathe. I've got pictures of that. Built the housing, built the 4-link, and then built the car from there. Initially, the engine was going to sit back further, and then we figured out there's no room for feet and, that whole deal. So it went a long way there. It's, like I said, it's all chrome moly. We had to look at cost versus performance. Like I said, safety was the number one thing. But overall, the number everybody wants to know, I'm sure, is it's 1740 with her in it, full of fuel, race ready. So it's pretty light. And that's helped us a ton because the engine that's in it right now, before we made a couple little changes, when we had it at the dyno, is 312 wheel horsepower. So probably 4 at the crank. And that's not a lot. That is not a lot at all.
Smaller engine than what we have in it now.
We started with a 4.8, and we had those times, but it's been great. One of the things was we went to a test and tune at Bull Run, and we had metal in the oil, and I was like, is this just something that got shaken loose? I mean, these are 175,000 mile motors. I'm checking the oil, changed the filter a couple times. It went down there and ran a bunch. Now, when we started this, we went to the junkyard and bought 3 junkyard LS motors. All right. So we're like, we got spare parts. So we ran it down there at Bull Run. About 9 o'clock, we were done. Like, okay, we're going to take it home. And I said, you know what? I'm going to unload it. I'm going to cut the oil filter and see what's up. Cut the oil filter, and it was a freaking glitter bomb. It was ridiculous.
And he forgot to mention that there was a race the next day.
Yeah, there's a race the next day. So I told her, and struggle is what makes you. I said, all right, go put on a pot of coffee and we're start taking this apart. So we've got pictures throughout the night. I sent her to bed at like 2:30, 3 in the morning. We had the engine out and everything at that point. Told her, get some sleep. I'll wake you up. We'll see what's going on. You know, I'll need some help for whatever. Had it all back together about, I don't know, early the next morning, fired it up, put it in the trailer, took it back down there and ran, you know. So I took like maybe a 2-hour nap, and it's the stories of times that are shitty that make the best stories sometimes. I mean, good times make good stories, but I thought that was good. And I'm happy. I wasn't happy that we beat the bearings out of this thing and it destroyed the crank, but I was happy that she got that experience of like, you have to want it and you have to be willing to sacrifice. And if all
this is what it takes.
leave, yeah, right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So
Yeah, there's a picture that I have of him with the engine on the engine stand, like dangling above the chassis, and him flipping it off at like however, like after midnight. It's just funny.
Wow, that's an awesome story. I enjoyed that story a lot, man. This is
Yeah.
so. Zora, what did that kind of teach you right there in that moment of when you had to like hurry up and swap engines overnight to just get there race day the next day?
Well, it taught me that I'm super lucky to have somebody that knows what they're doing, because any other person that like maybe most of the local people that we race with probably would have taken it home and loaded it up, and they wouldn't have been there the next day because maybe they don't know how to work their way around that quickly, or they don't have the parts,
different way of
money,
thinking.
yeah, anything. So it's like his way of thinking is definitely what got us as far as we are today and stuff, like situations like that. But it also taught me that going through all of those struggles made the first time that I ever succeeded in that Jeep a heck of a lot better. Like that's one of the best feelings probably that I've ever felt in my life, was that night. So all of that was leading up to that. Everybody always says that. It always is going to happen sometime. Everything always is going to lead up to your first win or your first big money race that you win or anything like that. And it definitely played a part in how special that was.
That's really awesome. I think John may have another question for you.
Yeah, in a second.
I actually just threw it at him real late. I'll cut this part out.
Yeah.
I thought you were still gonna keep going.
I'm ready.
I mean, I love that you had that great response, honestly, because I just thought of that question, so that was not a prep question. Great answer. Great answer.
Thanks.
John, go ahead.
So, I noticed you're missing a third member tonight of the team who actually was.
Wait a minute. The rear end's put together.
Wait a minute. You wait a minute. It's Cameron there who won this big money race with that very Jeep. I see you guys sharing off to the side there. I think I was suspect.
He's not a good speaker.
Yeah.
That's okay. He can wave and say hi.
Yeah, big money race winner. Hey, Cameron, how are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing good.
Great.
Good.
So I got a question for you. At that big money race, because this seems to happen a lot when the Ohio guys come around, semifinals. After that, did they try to split with you? And did you go for a split?
No, it was kind of just because the weather was coming in, and it was, no, I guess no, because there was a lot of weather coming in. We were trying to just rush around to even finish the race, so it was kind of just fly and go.
So I've
What
got
were your
some
thoughts in the finals, going into the finals? I mean, what was it like for you? Were you nervous? Were you ready?
Oh yeah, definitely nervous. Yeah, it was just a lot to, I mean, not a lot to handle, just a lot of chaos for a moment of time until you stage the car, and then it kind of just goes away.
Yeah, and as soon as you flap that helmet on and get up to the starting line, it does seem to disappear, don't it?
Oh yeah, for sure.
He had the best teacher and pep talker, so.
Oh, I bet.
Oh yeah.
Who was it? Who's the teacher? Oh, okay. Miss Zora. Miss Zora was the teacher. Okay.
So let's back up a second to the split, because right before the final, which was with Wade, right?
Wade Pruitt.
Pruitt,
Wade
right?
Pruitt, right?
Yeah. So super nice kid, young, nervous. Both these guys, super young, hell of a racer. I was like, we should talk about the split. We should talk about the split. And Cameron doesn't remember it, but he said, Well, they pay for second place too. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. All right, that's cool. So, I mean, second place was a good payout. It wasn't first place payout, but
Right.
Sure.
but as far as the actual split, once Cam got paid, I got paid because we do a deal that driver gets half, car owner gets half. So
That's been put in place since we
yeah.
started racing. So
Since
You guys had a great split.
since the baby
Yeah.
Jeep, since the little Jeep has been in place.
well, get paid money. I got to keep all the trophies that are now up. But once I started getting paid money, yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And there was some hassle with that. Like some people like, oh my gosh, you should let her keep it. And I'm like, well, yeah, but this is all about, like, I think I'd be doing her a disservice. It costs a lot
Right.
of money to do this stuff. And it's the reality of, hey, it costs. So you
Yeah.
did your job, you got paid for it, but so did I. And
Right.
it's great to win that big money race. And that made last season, pretty inexpensive.
Easier.
Yeah, easier, but I really, really, really wanted to go out to Lake Elsinore, and
Hell
I'm
yeah.
at best case $500 in diesel, worst case $4,500 in diesel, and it's like, man,
Yeah.
For sure.
That's kind of put a hurting on everybody when it come to the going out west again type thing.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, and fuel's cheaper now than it has been, but still, it's far. I mean,
Right.
yeah.
Right. No doubt.
Yes, I agree. I have another question for you guys. The tracks you usually go to, you mentioned it earlier, Tri-County, which is Lisbon, Ohio, correct? And Rogers, Ohio, Bull Run was just right down the road from there. And you've obviously been to Cleves, Ohio, which is Gravel Rama's track. You've been to Brookville, Indiana, Franklin County Four Wheelers, and you've been to Michigan, which is Silverback Off Road Speedway. And we know you've been to Thunder Valley in Missouri. You've been to Atoka in Oklahoma, and you just kind of touched on going to Lake Elsinore. Is there any tracks that you haven't been to, that you guys haven't been to, but the both of you, that you want to go to really bad? You just said Lake Elsinore, but is there any more?
Well,
Yeah.
for sure, as long as the weather is permitting, we're going to Sheldon's. We're planning on going there for that. Someday it's like bucket list stuff. I want to hit Dome Valley, beautiful looking track from everything I see. I want to hit Lake Elsinore. I love California. I love the West Coast. I love being out there. And wasn't for the fuel cost, I enjoy the drive too. I mean, it's just cool. It's just different to see all that stuff. Love to do that. But I mean, we're pretty much open to go to any track. There's one is it in Maine that
I've
that I
been
think,
there.
have you? So
Yes.
they don't job of publicizing that, but I understand that you might have to run mufflers and stuff, but which not a huge deal, but still, I would love to go out there sometime. There's less tracks. There used to be a track in Norwalk, Firelands four-wheelers were that. Wish we could have gone out there for that. There was other tracks in Pennsylvania. I mean, it's unfortunate. It's almost like when a lot of the steel mills shut down in the late 70s and early 80s, and that really killed a lot of the blue collar money in our area that were off-road or sand drag racers, and a lot of those tracks just aren't there now. But we're
Right.
pretty down to go anywhere. Love going to Michigan. That's one of my favorite places. But hell, how can you not love everything? Franklin County is definitely high on the list of places to go, especially after this year. It was great. We always meet nice people everywhere. Met a ton of people that are really good friends now that just, it just happened. You just pull up, look at the vehicle, you talk racing, and they become great friends. And yeah, it's cool.
Have you ever thought about going to Virginia?
Yeah, absolutely. We
not necessarily Newtown, even though Newtown is iconic. Greens Raceway by Fowler's Racing. I don't know exactly what town in Virginia that is, but I know our correspondent Dave Applegate in his new series is putting on a race there, and they're going to have that they're going to have that pro comp class, which is like a 440 and faster. I believe it's with a pro light or something like that. But they're going to have
Yes.
that class there if you. I've heard. I just keep hearing that's a fast track. Two of our guests have actually mentioned that that's a fast track. So
We'll have to look at the schedule and everything. So we grab that. We're data people. So
ooh,
we get stuff printed out, and there's been multiple that we have.
hold on, put it back up there, please. It was looking at me too. Put it back up there.
Well, there's a bunch of stuff that's all scratched out, and I think I have notes for other stuff
Just a
on
big
there.
schedule.
Yeah, it needs updated, but the biggest thing is we want to race. So there's been so many times when we've been like, okay, we're going to run at Bull Run. It rained out. Hell, we can make it. We go to Michigan, and it might not have been the biggest races. And we've been there for some low turnout races, but we still went and raced and still had a great time. And as much as we can afford to do it, we're going racing. We went one time for Michigan. Once that race was over, I forget what it was. It was on some weekend where Franklin County had a race the next day. We drove from Michigan through the night to Franklin County and then raced the next day. And it was freaking awesome, because it's one of those things where you're like, stupid, we're not going to get much sleep. Yeah, let's do it. So we did it and it was great. Was that the first time we ever went there?
Yeah, it was the first time we ever went to Indiana.
That's cool.
That's really cool. I enjoyed that a lot. Any plans to go to Missouri or this year?
So again, fuel's an issue.
Yes,
but it's definitely a thought. So like with her, with summer classes, with everything that's going on, scheduling and everything, it can be tough, but we're not ruling it out. I would love to get back to Atoka sometime. I would love to get back to Thunder Valley sometime. A friend of mine worked for General Motors real close here, and that plant shut down, and he ended up going out there. And he always came and met us at the races and like cooked us hamburgers and stuff, and it was awesome. But I guess this year is going to be his last year there, and he's going to be coming back to one of two other plants that'll be closer. So that was something, it's in our minds. We would love to do it, but it all depends. I'm currently looking for different employment, and that might have something to do with different things. Because I don't want to sound this way, but and I actually said this in an interview, because they're like, well, what if you had some weekends? And I'm like, well, I pretty much spend my money on racing. And if the job keeps me from going racing, well, I don't really need the money. And they were just like, oh,
Good point.
and it's kind of true. I'm not young anymore. I'm 52. I'm pretty well established, and the clock is ticking. I don't have that many years left to do fun things, where once I'm an old man, shout out to Tom Hartman Sr., hell, that guy's like an icon. If
Right.
if I could be doing what he's doing at his age, I better save more money, because I better start taking better care of my body too. But that would be awesome.
I love your passion. I just love it, the way you're just like, listen, I don't need the money, I need racing. So
Well,
that's pretty.
Well, that's the thing. I do need the money to go racing, but if I can't go racing, then I don't need as much money as I would need to sit on my porch at home. So,
For sure, for sure. I that was a great take. I did enjoy every bit of that. What about you? What kind of tracks do you want to go to? What is one in particular track that you've never been to that you were like, you would be like, okay, that's it, I want to go?
California, for sure. I have now past 2 years to go to California, but then it ended up getting messed up from COVID. We were really planning on going, but then we were like, plane, COVID, is it going to get canceled? And then it ended up getting canceled. And then last year, it was a thought again, but him being a school teacher, and we already spent his vacation on
it's
other
not even
races.
vacation. You're allowed at that time 3 personal days.
Yeah.
We used it for Gravel Rama 50.
Yeah, because we raced at Gravel 50. So we used it there, so he couldn't go. And the thought first was to just go out there, just to check it out, just to fly out to California and watch racing in California. Well, I mean, it would be a dream to take the Jeep there and for me to race with California racers, because I met some of them at Thunder Valley, and I actually raced against them, and they were on a different level. They had a whole crew that had specific jobs, and they were carrying around a laptop computer, and they were serious. And I raced one of them, and it was cool. But I would definitely like to go out to their territory and see.
Like Elsinore specifically.
Yeah.
Oh, Avenal's cool too. Don't forget Avenal.
Is it still out? Is it still going? I thought like they switched tracks or something, or
Elsinore, Lake Elsinore with Boba.
oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, that's what happened. Avenal's still running. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got a kind of a question. If you weren't racing, Matt and Zora, what would you be doing? I know you mentioned sitting on the back porch because you wouldn't need the money. But tell us, what would Matt do? I mean, you got a lot going on, man. I couldn't imagine you not doing it. But golf?
No, that wouldn't be me. So I like a lot of stuff. I have to stay busy. And the problem is I like too many things. We weren't going racing. I'm sitting here beside my flat fender Willys pickup truck that's on a Jeep JK chassis with a Dana 60 rear and a 44 front and 3 in it. That's not done. Yeah, no, I was working on that. I used to really like to go rock crawling, and we'd go out west 4-wheeling in Utah and Colorado and stuff like that. And it just kind of, I mean, I don't know why. I don't want to say I grew out of it. I just go away from that. When you're younger, you know, you want to go on the hardest trails and beat on stuff, and you know, do you make it? Yeah, let's go for it. You get to be my age, it's like, let's make sure we're back in time for dinner, and we just want to see some scenery and, you know, relax. But I like to build stuff. I mean, I really do. That's what I do. I build stuff, but I'm into other weird stuff. Like I'm kind of like World War II historian kind of thing. Like to
I actually get into that too.
Yeah. So I like to trace my family's participation in World War II, and met some people overseas because my great uncle's brother was shot down and killed in Germany. And you know, just like figuring out stuff about that. It's cool. That's fun. But I mean, as far as if we weren't racing, I don't know. The past several years when we're not racing, we're getting ready to go racing. So
I hear you. I hear you. What about you, Zora?
Well, if I was still in high school and I wasn't racing, I would have definitely gotten more into softball. Growing up, I played softball and baseball, and that was like my thing until I was old enough to start racing and stuff. And I always wanted to do travel ball, but I never did because it was racing. And then I wanted to do like track when I got into high school, but that interfered with racing too. So maybe I would have done a little bit more sports when I was in high school, but now I probably would just be working a lot more. I work in an emergency room right now. I'm an STNA. And then, like I said, I'm in nursing school. So it probably would just be a lot more working, and maybe like I have a dirt bike, but right now it's completely torn down to the frame. And so maybe that actually would get rebuilt and finished, and I could get good at riding a dirt bike, or I could definitely see myself like either us keeping the Razor that we had that I used to race and then trail riding, or like Cam and I buying a Razor and doing that if it wasn't for spending money on race cars. So kind of just get into a different hobby like that, because I still like to do those things. I really like to travel and go see different places. I'm well traveled for how young I am, so I could definitely see us doing vacations and stuff like that a lot more, but racing is kind of my vacations throughout the summer. So
Well, continue the path you're on. I like it. Less work, more racing. Keep it real, guys. You're doing good.
Well, I would be wrong if I didn't bring this up. So we had a deal about what college costs and where that money's coming from and all that stuff. And the difference between, so it's kind of weird. I'm a guy. I think like a guy. I have a daughter. I don't think like girls. It's been there's been some butting heads going on. There's been some like, I don't know why you think that way thing, like throughout her whole life. But one of the things we talked about is she likes racing. I like racing. College is expensive. I told her the more scholarships that she gets, the more racing we can do. And she's pretty much killed it all through school. She's all on her roll, lots of scholarships, put a lot of time into applying for scholarships, wrote a million papers to apply for scholarships. And it's a different way of thinking. When I earn money, it's with this.
Yeah.
It's different that she earned all that money that would take an hours with this using this. It's different. I'm not trying to say that I'm, unintelligent, but it's not where I excel.
It's different. It's just
right.
different.
I use my hands and I build stuff or whatever. So yeah, shout out to her for getting some money, which took us a long way towards going racing and putting money into making a faster race car and a bigger trailer and that kind of stuff that
That's huge.
Shout out to Zora for being smart. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Zora, for being smart.
We had a lot of deals and a lot of talks before we even travel raced with a Jeep. We stayed local and just figuring out a whole new car. Like I never raced a full-size car. I never did a street car in street classes or anything. So we stayed around, and then when we decided that we were going to travel, we had a lot of talks about how much it's going to cost and everything. But we also had a lot of talks when I was still in high school, when college was still far away. Like, if you get good grades, you get scholarships and you don't have to pay for your college. But if you get bad grades and your scholarships stop or anything like that, then you're going to have to pay for it yourself. And so I applied myself in school and got a lot of scholarships from my high school's alumni association. And then it's me. I'm paying for my own college. If scholarships don't cover the books that I get, then I pay for my own books. I'm paying for it myself, and I have to figure out how to do it myself. And then like one of our deals, which you might not think is a lot of money, but is buyback money. If races offer buybacks the first round, it could be anywhere from $10 to $20, depending on the race. But if I wanted to buy back, which part of the deal was I have to buy back if I'm racing the Jeep, I pay for it. That's my money. So I either have the option of, with my half of the, yeah, but if I have half of the money that I won from the last race, yeah, I can go blow it on Dunkin' and Starbucks coffees if I want to, or I put it in a little envelope and
sponsorship room available, Dunkin', Starbucks, if you're listening.
Yeah. Or I put it away, and that's the money that I take out for paying buyback money. So it doesn't necessarily come out of my pocket. I just put that money away like I never have it, and then it just sits there. So that's another thing. We definitely aren't the richest people in the world, but you have to be smart if you want to do.
You know how to stretch the money out.
Yeah.
Well, Zora, it seems like you have a pretty good plan of what you got going on, and you're very ambitious, it looks like. So, I mean, just keep doing what you're doing. Matt, go ahead. You're about to say something. I apologize for cutting you off.
No. I was just going to say that she talked about the Salem High School Alumni Association. They'll do it. Nobody from there, but we have to say that, my God, what a great organization. And they provide way more scholarships from her school than any other around in any of the 3 county areas. I mean, it's great. And it makes a big difference in people's lives for sure. And I want to go off skewer with a story because it's a good story. Maybe people might not like us after this, but the guilt's really kind of getting on me.
Okay.
So
I know what you're gonna say.
first we went to Michigan. It was for the shake and bake race. So we're on our way up there. We're like, oh, let's do this. All right. So we load up. Now we've been racing at Bull Run. She's comfortable in the car. She's safe in the car. We load up. We are, I don't know, I'm thinking it was June or July, something like whatever, midsummer. Halfway up there, like as we dip into Michigan, it's like this. It's like that stupid meme with the dogs driving, and it's like, what if you have to be 16 to race there? Well, she's like 15 and 7/8. All right. So well, I don't know. I think it'll be all right. So we drive there, pay for the test and tune. She got like 20 laps in. We park up on the hill, and shout out to Matt Willis. We lied to you. Matt comes pulling up in the Razor. Here's her with braids and braces and 90 pounds. And he goes, how old are you? She's like, 16, because we rehearsed this. And he's like, you got a driver's license?
No, he said, when's your birthday?
Oh, yeah, which we rehearsed that too. So she says it's like, whatever. It was like,
It's June, and I'm pretty sure we said like July 23rd or
Yeah.
something like that. It was like the next month or something.
no, it was previous to that.
Or-
She wouldn't have
yeah.
been old enough. So we lie about it. And he's like, you got a license? She's like, no, I didn't bring a purse or anything. He's like, do you have anybody that can send a picture? So she pulls up a picture off of Instagram holding the picture from her permit. And he's like, oh, sweet, cool, good enough for me. And we're like, and then the worst part is Crystal is like, you have the same birthday as my son. And we're just like,
Oh
my
no.
we're going to get caught sometime. We're going to get, well, the good thing is we didn't win any rounds and we didn't win any money. So nobody was real mad and got hurt, and she handled the car like a champ. But, you know, forgive me for my lies, you know, Matt, Crystal. But some other people, the only reason why Matt came over is because some people were saying, I think she's 12. She shouldn't be on the track, you know. And this is after she made 20 passes, you know.
Right.
I also don't even have enough fingers to count how many times I think I'm actually like 12, 13. I'm 20 right now, and I still get called like 12 or 13 years old. So in my defense, and everybody's lying about that, my face hasn't changed since I have been like 12 or 13. And I did, like you said, have braces and everything. So yeah, nothing was going for me.
12 and under is free at our track.
Yeah.
If you can
Yeah.
pass.
I still order off of kids' menus too, so it works.
Well,
Perfect.
I felt like we kind of had to lie after that was a $500 diesel expense, 16-hour round trip going to Michigan.
It was the very first travel race that we were
Yeah.
going to. Also,
You know,
It's
I gotta join you guys in that, because I told him Caden was 10 just to race in juniors because too fast for Pee Wee. So I was like, he was like, is he 10? I was like, yeah, totally. He was like 7 or 8. But
See, racers are all liars.
yeah, but you know, I guess if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. But if I had to redo it, I would have just left Caden and Pee Wee's and sandbagged everybody to the victory. They got that. Pee Wee's can only go 9 seconds, Michigan, and then the juniors can go 5:50. And Caden was running 7:7, so I was like, yeah, let's go up one. Yeah, he's totally 10.
So hopefully the statute of limitations has run out on that. You know,
You're probably safe now, man.
It's new owners now, so hopefully it's all good. Don't kick
I
us
say
out,
forgive
bud.
and forget.
thanks.
better ask for forgiveness.
Yeah.
Then
Before we got into that story, I mentioned that Zora's got some goals. She's very ambitious to what she wants to do while doing the nursing school, saying she's going to find a way to get it done and all that stuff. Just what is the goals for this racing season for Zora? And then Matt, you tell us kind of your goals in a different way of like the mine as a crew chief and stuff. But what is the driver's goal this season?
Go fast, get money.
Yeah. If you ain't first, you're last. Now, that's a hard question because there's a lot that plays into it. Stay good on the lights, keep practicing on that. I always love to take a shot at pro trees just because around home we don't race on them. So it's always fun to do them when we travel, but it's also very stressful because it's like, am I going to throw money away just to try, or am I going to be good at it? And you don't get good at it unless you practice. So there's that. Last year was a really hard year for me personally, sharing the Jeep with Cam. I love him, but it was an extra stress on me. And I don't think anyone really understood that, especially from my point of view, except for me. So I'm very excited for him to be with his own car and stuff, and I wish him the best, but I'm glad to be back in my seat and just focus on the
Full
vibe,
time.
the Jeep and I.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep
You don't want Cameron breaking your stuff.
No, he's great. He hit well, and it was awesome watching him in the Jeep, but it's just stay focused, stay calm and collected. I think both of us forget that sometimes and we get caught up in a lot of stuff. But just have fun. That's what my uncle who raced always said. Have fun. If you're not having fun, why are you doing it? You shouldn't do it if it's not fun anymore. So just have fun and hopefully win.
Yeah, stay focused and have fun. There's some pretty good goals right there for a 20-year-old racer who is still making her presence known in this sport. What's the crew chief's goals this year, Matt?
So I'm like always in pursuit of trying to make stuff better. So I want to put the best car I possibly can on the track, and then the next time I want it to be better. And I have an issue with being a perfectionist, but I counter that with being a realist. So I get stuff done. It might not be perfect, but the pursuit is to make it perfect. But that's also underscored with getting it done and making sure it's there. The Jeep's been super consistent. It doesn't typically have any issues. And that's all due to a ton of time. So I put that same effort into working on Cameron's altered. This year, what I'm looking at is I would love to see 2 cars at every race in the money every time. Now, is that realistic? Absolutely not, because you know, everybody that we race against, everywhere we go, is potentially a winner every freaking weekend. You know, there's no gimmies. People are good. People just go out there and kill it. And it's an addiction. Once you taste a little bit of, for a long time, we didn't do any winning, but we got a little bit closer and a little bit closer. And as you see, you're making progress. It just, I don't know if it does other people, but it makes me want it more. And then once you start getting into winning, like winning the Brookville was absolutely awesome, but that's not even close. That's not even close. You take money out of that equation of what it is to go rounds against those people. And then, you know, with Zora down at the last blast that unfortunately when it got rained out, still in the money, going rounds at tracks that we've been put on the trailer, like smacked in the face, you know, just killed, and getting to the point where you can beat people that have won races. It's just addicting. It's just one of those things that you want more and you want more. So for me, I'm going to try and put the best prepped cars out there. And, you know, she touched on a little bit. It's easy to get the level up when you want something so bad. You know, there's been times where she's been in tears and I've been, you know, like a dad, but whatever. I'd do the same to anybody else that's in the vehicle, because I mean, I'm not trying to, blow my own horn, but I've got hours worth of time into trying to make this stuff as good as possible. And it's, even though I'm not in the driver's seat, it's a payoff for me to see a good driver put it in the money. You know, that's what I'm looking for. It's competition. Yeah, it's fun. And it's all about having fun. But if it wasn't for the competition, we'd just be out there riding around. And I mean, that's a good time too. But you know, that
challenges. You want to be able to build these awesome machines and go race against a bunch of people who share the same interests, who understand it's a family fun sport, but you guys are there to compete. Like
it drives you to be stronger.
It teaches you how you got to work through things, like you doing the engine swap overnight and stuff like that. It's just it there's levels to it, and it sounds like that you are aiming for putting together the two best and then facing the challenges that are ahead of you head on.
Absolutely.
And that's really awesome.
Billy,
yeah.
You just touched on something. What'd you say about new cars coming up?
But he's got two cars. He's got Cameron's car.
The two cars.
Cameron's altered and then her Jeep.
I don't think we should wait any longer. I think talk Matt into turning that camera around.
Hold on, before we do that, I do have to say about travel racing and stuff.
Okay.
It for sure has made us 10 times better, 100 times better as not only people, but racer, driver, crew chief, whatever, learning experiences, going so many places with meeting new people, meeting what other people do, seeing other people's cars. I mean, I would not be the driver that everybody at my local track say, "Oh, I never want to race you. Oh, you're so good. You're so competitive." Like, I'm a competitive person, but I don't think I would have ever been at the level that I am in other people's eyes if it wasn't for travel racing with the people that we race with. Like Dad said, last year at Gravel, last blast, I was still in. I have gotten beaten down at that track so many times. Like, that track is the first track or the last track that I had not taken money from. And I still didn't win taking money from that race. It was because we split it with everybody that was still in. So in my eyes, I still haven't taken money from that track yet. And it's hard. Every time you go there, you're one round down. Oh, this much closer. Another round down, this much closer. And for me to be still in and it rain out, like that was hard. But it was also awesome because I had the same feeling as if I would have won it, got money, and I got to walk up there and shake his hand, and like he was like, "Zora, you're a hell of a racer. Good job. I like seeing you up here." And it was like I got recognized finally at Gravel because I was still in, and just stuff like that. I think that's where it gets really stressful at travel races because you really want to do well.
Right.
But it's so hard because there are so many great racers that we have met. And I mean, like I said, I've raced from people from California who've done this forever, or Tom Hartman, who has so many years on me and so much more experience. He's great.
Or John Sorg.
Yeah, anybody. Yeah, anybody.
Who's that guy? I don't know that guy.
Seriously though, like I don't think I was really as good at the tree, or even knowing like the logistics of racing, how stuff changes other things if it wasn't for travel racing. So that's definitely great.
While she's talking about travel racing, I have one thing that if there's any parents out there to think about this, and it's one of those things that you probably might not think about until it happens. So one of the huge benefits of wasting all this money going on the road to race is how often do you get your teenage daughter or somebody else son to sit beside you on an 18-hour trip out to Atoka, Oklahoma, where, all right, they've gone from end to end on Instagram, gone from end to end on everything. Guess what? There's nothing else but talking to do, So we got to talk about a lot of stuff about life and the good and the bad and our relationship and our relationships with other people and school and saving money and spending money and all that stuff. That worth it. So like I always tell people it's worked out to being the best money I've ever wasted. But without further
good way to put it.
Yeah, if you guys want to take a look around at the shop here,
I'm glad we did the one things just now. I should have did the promo before you guys did all that. That was those were great things that you guys did. Honestly,
well,
that was cool.
That's not my one.
Yeah.
Though,
all right, perfect. Then we'll get there.
Do your walk and then we'll do the talk.
Yeah. Show us your guys' shop here.
Yep, she's trying to pin this so we can see it better. All right, so we, friend of mine and family, we built this shop. I've got a mill here, bought used. We got a couple couches here, got for free. Got a nice lathe here. Got a wood burner that we turned into a freestanding one. This is the picture of the first time that, and we'll never get those reflections off of it, that Zora won in the full-size Jeep at Bull Run.
Yeah.
Got some trophies up there. Got a Pro 1 from her first win in the Pro class. That's a fender from off of when I worked for the Red Bull rock crawling team at a couple events. Her band poster. Got some more trophies. We have to shout out to Cameron's grandpa for this awesome airbrushed. Yeah, that's
amazing.
Anybody that knows us knows our dog. This is from a picture, and it looks there's no way it's going to be as good on a call as it is right here. But we have this that I talked Brody out of. This was turned backwards up at Silver Lake, just as a piece of the fence. We redid it, made it look a little bit better, but sold. Have to shout out to Mark Hembry for saying, hey, I expect that arrow to be pointing the direction of the track miles. So Silver Lake, Silverback Speedway is 437 miles from us. So there's that. Just got some other tools, presses, some more trophies. This is we're putting together for Cam. He's going to do some good stuff in this year. I know people talked before about the Jeep bodies hanging on the wall. Yeah, I just, oh, you can watch it. I just like that kind of stuff. It's part of history, and it's cool, and you just can't get anywhere. So
It's very cool.
Got that stuff hanging up there. We have the trailer in here because we're just trying to do some work on it. We got one dog. That's the chief dog.
Doggo.
All right.
Yeah. Jackson's not out here because the two of them would be making all kinds of dog wrestling noises. And
I thought you were calling Cameron the dog.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah. So
there's the Jeep.
Yep, that's our Jeep without body on it. Body sitting inside the trailer. We have the slicks on it because we're going to the dyno to tune it again. Same engine, just have a couple different things here. I wish I could step back a little bit so you could see it a little bit better, but
did you tear that down completely this winter?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. We do that stuff, and then one of the things that I always do on all kinds of whatever we work on, you'll see, I don't know if you can see it on this, but like these paint marks. If it doesn't have a paint mark on it, it's not tight. Now it could be tight, but the paint mark tells us that it's been looked at, it's been gone over. But we go over everything because I don't want to drive all these miles and have junk fall off of my car. So not huge changes. We did intake and different cam. Hopefully, one of the goals that we have is to be able to maybe get to the point that we can just dip down into the 4.0 class. Probably not going to be running O's, but might be able to get close enough that might be competitive. In the trailer now, that's just where the body's sitting. I probably shouldn't go in here because it'll probably cut out my signal. But just
that was very cool look at the Jeep up close, and that was very cool to see the Alder and all the trophies, and definitely the airbrush painting that Cameron's family did for you. That's really cool.
I'm sure Isaac's going to be jealous that he was not here.
Yeah, I know. He should have seen all this
well,
stuff.
Like you said, he can watch it.
Well, we really appreciate you guys' time. Thank you so much for answering our questions and showing us the shop for sure. I understand that I know you guys have one thing that you would like to share, at least Zora does, and your guys' one thing is brought to you by SM Engineering, where you can design, build, and test with Sam McCray. He'll get you right. Flow fuel systems, dyno testing, fuel management, tune-ups, consulting, race pack and data acquisitions, wiring, and mechanical services. That is SM Engineering, design, build, test, smengineeringllc.com. You can also hit them up 740-361-0969. SM Engineering, design, build, test. Zora, what is your one thing, please?
So I probably could go on with multiple one things. But
that's why it's one.
Yeah, I chose to do about Cam and about last race season with him racing the Jeep with me. It was, like I kind of touched on earlier, it was Yeah, as he's listening to me say this right now, all shy over there in the corner. Like I said, it was kind of really bittersweet from my point of view. And I'm sure sometimes I could have been mean at races. Don't listen to him. But it was cool for me. And I really appreciated him taking the initiative to be engaged in what I like in racing and be for me all the time beside me, cheering me on. If I'm mad, upset, he always told me how well I did. Like he's my biggest cheerleader besides dad and my mom and the rest of my family. And so like it was hard for me at the beginning seeing him in the Jeep, but I also wanted to teach him. So that's like the bittersweet. It was very stressful on me. We had to adjust belts, take the seat out, get all of the safety equipment on him. We were hauling his helmet, my helmet, Han's, arm restraints, everything. I was in and out of my suit, running around back and forth. I wasn't just I was also helping him and a part of the crew to make sure that the Jeep was ready for him as much as it was ready for me. So that was hard, but it was also surreal for me to teach him what I knew. How my Jeep worked, how a fast car went. He's never been in a car that was that fast. He's never experienced going to different tracks. He's never experienced a pro tree. He's never like anything, like how to handle someone testing you on the lights, how you give it right back at them, how you play the game at the end when you blow past somebody, just stuff like that. It was really cool for me to teach him, and he appreciated it, and he took what I taught him and won the big money race. And that was a really bittersweet moment for me because obviously I wanted it to be me. It was my Jeep. That's me. I race it. And what I really had a hard time was maybe new people that never saw the Jeep before thought it was him and dad racing the Jeep. They didn't know it was me, that I was the racer, that I was the driver. I'm the one that like it's my Jeep. But like that might not matter to other people who are like, oh yeah, everybody knows you, everybody knows who you are, but still that was hard. And for him to get the credit of winning the big money race, it was like, wow, now everybody's like talking to me about, oh, he's stealing your Jeep. How are you gonna let him walk all over you in your Jeep like that? Like it took a toll on me, but it was also really cool being with dad at the starting line, screaming because he just won and jumping onto dad, giving dad a hug, and then running over to the Jeep when he came and won that race and just jumping on him. And it's cool. I mean, I was still a part of that just as much as both of them were. And Cam would have been part of it just as much if it was me, and he would have been just as happy for me. So that definitely was something I've never experienced before, but I'm glad going into this season that I have my Jeep and he's going to have his own car, but I think he's definitely a lot more prepared now this year.
Well,
That's awesome.
That's an awesome one thing. Shout out to Cam. Shout out to Zora. Shout out to Matt as well. Thank you guys so much for your time. We'll definitely have to do another one of these during the season, maybe after a big race, and see how your guys' season is going. And once again, we just really appreciate your time.
Did you have a one thing?
Oh, thanks for having us on. No,
Yeah, Matt, you got one thing?
Basically,
Oh no, you actually had one earlier. You were like
yeah,
one more
yeah.
thing. Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
yours
no,
earlier.
I got my one thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you guys.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
doing this.
Yeah, thank you.
And thanks to the sponsors of this.
Yeah, buy our sponsor stuff.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed that interview with Matt and Zora. Very fun. Shop's very cool. They got a lot going on, and we appreciate their time. They were such a blast. They really were. And before we get into our Throwback Thursday, we're going to give our shout out to Lone Star Graphics. Star Graphics offers t-shirts, photo plaques, photo prints, mouse pads, custom award plaques, license plates, 15-ounce ceramic coffee mugs, canvas pot holders, and a canvas bag, along with canvas pillows. You can also check out their gallery online where they go all the way back to 2006. Very awesome gallery. And they've been anywhere from Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Texas, Missouri, Ohio, Kentucky, Michigan, Louisiana, Virginia. They've been to a bunch of tracks all over the country. So go check out LoneStarGraphics.info and check out all their products and get a great gift for your family there. Get your picture of your car on there. And they'll be at the PSDA race next week. It's going to be huge. So check out LoneStarGraphics.info and place your order today. They'll ship it directly to your door. LoneStarGraphics.info. All right. So we got a Throwback Thursday here. I was scrolling Facebook the other day, and well, actually just yesterday, and Greg Price shared this photo of him, and I believe it was Scott Stanek, as I learned from John Sorg. And I know that car is Jim Bailey, and he was just talking about good times, this, that, and the other. The photo was from Thunder Valley Sand Drags near Kansas City, Missouri, which is my home track. And it's really cool to see people kind of talk about the golden days there. And whenever he shared that photo, it just brought back a whole bunch of memories. And I got a bunch of photos that we're going to share with you guys here. And I shared with the group chat here so we can all talk about it. And that weekend was insane because before that weekend started, our track record was a 279, held by a Michigan man named George Young. And if you know George Young, you know that his engine combination was very unique. John Sorg, can you please enlighten us a little bit about the engine setup that George Young had on that car?
That was a Volkswagen custom made aluminum block, kind of like what Dave was talking about with his guys making blocks. I think that was only a 471 on top of there with 95% nitromethane, man. You had an animal.
Isaac.
Johnny, was that a Potter?
No, that was a deal that John Brown designed and Randy Vistula machined.
Gotcha. Shout out RV Machine.
There you go.
Great shout out. But yeah, George Young's car was one of a kind, a blown Volkswagen on nitromethane. We never see anything like it. Ran 279, and it held the record on our track for a few years and till this weekend. And the date was June 16th, June 17th, 2006. And that's when Jim Bailey, Frank Marticelli, Randy Vanderput, Pat Goodale, Jay Portanga, and these guys from came down. Joyce Risher from Texas was there. Mike Goodale from Michigan was there on his awesome 3-wheeler. But our track record got absolutely obliterated that day. I remember after we updated the website, it was like Jim Bailey 262, Pat Goodale 263, and then Randy had like a 280, 270 something. I can't remember, something like that. And then I'm missing somebody.
Frank?
Oh yeah, Marticelli.
Yeah, Frank Marticelli. He walked away with the track record that weekend. He ran a freaking 255 in that C2 Solutions car. And I remember when he pulled that thing out of the trailer, it was just like, that thing's so sweet. And
It was a small
looking
block.
at these pictures.
What? Small block. I mean,
you say what?
It was a block. That was what was epic about that car. It was a small block.
What else do you know, John? Tell us what else you know.
I know it was a small block with a blower on it, and it was fast, man. We ran 255 down there, took it out west, was running 250s out there. I mean, that thing was awesome. The motor was built by Darren Mayer from DMP Performance here in Michigan. He was an awesome tuner. I mean, I watched that guy make that car go half a second faster in 3 passes. It was epic.
Johnny, was that the V4 or was that the small block?
No, this is a small block V8.
Okay.
The
V4.
that V4 was history, yeah.
Dude, yeah.
That engine.
This C2 Solutions car is so sick, dude. The way it's, and it was so mean, and it was so different. The way it just came out, I remember that pass almost, because I remember so much about that weekend. It's hard to just put it together into one, but I kind of remember that pass. It was that night, perfect conditions, and that thing just let it rip. And if
I'm not mistaken, Billy, this chassis right here is actually the road chassis right now.
Really?
The C2 Solutions car?
Yes.
Is the
So it
road
was a
cha-
really
is that-
lightweight car then.
Wow, that's amazing,
I could be corrected, but I'm pretty sure that's it.
man. You could make a pretty good argument, but I also want to touch on what Jim Bailey was driving with this Blue Thunder car, another Michigan man. I got the pictures of it, the side picture there, and then I got a picture of it hitting underneath the trees and stuff. Actually, there's a picture of him. It looks like he's suited up. He's got his fire suit on. He's just standing there, about to get in the car
Hell
and make a
yeah.
pass. Yeah. And then that car, that was awesome. Isaac, what do you know about that Blue Thunder car?
So if I believe, and Johnny will help me out on this, Johnny, that is the car. That's not the Volkswagen power car, correct? That's not that chassis. That is the next gen chassis, correct?
Correct. This is next gen.
So that would be Ted Larona's handiwork on that thing.
More than likely.
Yep.
It's at least a Ted Larona's front half.
For sure.
Because it's been in that shop a few times. Ted was quite familiar with it. Probably had the jig ready whenever we got back from out west. We visited Ted a lot.
Yeah, Jim did have a tendency when it went out west to maybe not run as much weight on the front as he should. And he wasn't the only Michigan guy. Bob Piante also had an affliction for that of pulling some lead out of the front and having some less than stellar results afterwards.
I mean, isn't that just the way Michigan drivers usually are? Wheels up for 300 feet.
Yeah,
learn how to roll in the sand. Learn how to roll in the sand. I think we just roll with a lot of tire speed, and that kind of bites you when you go out west a little bit.
Yeah,
or down south here.
Also true.
This Randy Vanderput car from this race in 2006 is pretty sweet too.
That's a Steve Morris small block.
Yes. Pro Charger.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Pro Charger.
Morris.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's some Steve Morris handiwork there.
Tell us more, Isaac.
Yeah, so Steve Morris actually, everybody knows Steve from Sick Week, and the wagon and stuff like that. Steve actually was building motors out of Gary Golombisky's pole barn for a while. And that's when I first ran into Steve, and he was coaxing some crazy horsepower out of some small cubic inch stuff. In fact, the motor that's in Gary's Ranger now is a Steve Morris piece.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a nice piece.
Really cool.
Well, the nice thing is this car is still in action,
close.
Billy. This car is still in action back in Michigan as Rob Shia has bought it and brought it back to life and is running top eliminator and did really well with it last year.
That's that car that he
moving.
runs in
Yep.
top of.
That's the car.
Wow, that's really
It was
cool.
moving here when I got to see it.
Yep. It sat for probably 5 years and somehow Rob ended up with it. Next summer, boy, he's out there kicking butt with it too. I mean, he came right out of the trailer swinging with it hard.
Dude, he really did, because he contender out the gate with it for sure.
Yeah.
These next pair to talk about the Crude Awakening car in 2006, and you can just see that giant, massive Whipple in this picture, just like
I love the Whipples.
dude, it's
Man.
gnarly. Is that
First
that
time
same
I-
Whipple that same like Randy Kimley's using right now?
It probably is.
I don't know why it wouldn't be.
It
Gotta ask him
probably
that.
is.
I gotta ask him that.
So
That's-
Billy,
Yes.
was when you came out to Prim, was Tiffany Janik still running her Roadster?
And that would have been this same year, I believe, in 2006. I don't know. Honestly, I don't remember.
So Tiffany
man,
Janik had a that she was running top eliminator with one of the big Whipples on it out the front. You talk about a car where you had to be careful where you staged it or you couldn't see the tree. I'm totally not even joking. It was insane.
You're not talking about that long black one, are you?
No, that was her at the time, Nick
Yeah.
Janik's car.
Yeah, that thing was freaking awesome. That thing was insane. I wish, man, I think I do know what you're talking about. I just gotta see pictures of it, man. God.
I
wish
mean, the first
ASDA
Whipple-
still had.
I know. I need pictures of it.
I wish
Yeah.
ASDA still had their website up, man.
It's crazy what them Whipples will do. The first Whipple I had ever seen that I can remember was Mike Lane came to our home track here in Liberty and reset the national four-wheel drive record into the 2.9s, never making a pass past 250 feet.
That's wild. That's awesome. But yeah, this
And
crude
a
awakening, this old
big mud rail.
crude awakening picture is just so sick. It really is. The one from the side. And I think it's crazy now because that thing is still taking like the same amount of horsepower whenever Randy does run it. And it's just so nuts how it just keeps going for this long. It's really cool.
Johnny,
almost
That car
20
ran hard for a long time, man. Pat really laid it down, and Ted tuning it, boy, if he didn't put parts on kill, I don't know who did.
And for them to come out with this thing, and John kind of said something about it earlier. Frank and Pat were running the same times out west with these cars as they were with Thunder Valley and as they were in Thunder Valley this day.
Yeah.
And when you bring this track prep back one more time, I don't know what was going on with that dirt that day, but man, I think that's crazy. That's insane. And then you got Jay Portanga in the blown profit car. This is the only picture I could find of it, but it looks like he's got the wheels up and he's got the wheels kind of turned. He may be going towards the center line or something, but that
I
car
seen
was
that
really
chassis up for sale.
yes,
Yeah.
it's been up for sale for a couple months now.
Yeah.
The only thing I knew about this car at the time, and to this day, I don't know what the engine was. I know you guys will tell me here in just a second, but I knew it had a Linko transmission. That's the only thing I knew about it. Whoever knows what the engine is, tell me what it is, please.
Well, I know that that's an ex Jim Bailey chassis also. So yeah, I just remembered that. Sold that to Jay, and then he built the one he had there that went to Rod. That's a big block Chevy in that one, a Jay's car.
Yeah. So that in that car there is the one in the touching, looks like it's on its side drag nasty picture. That is the same motor in that picture as in the blown profit car right there.
Is it?
Oh,
a
God.
big... Oh
Yeah.
wow, yeah.
The sideways picture?
Yes.
That's awesome.
California, where he's about to flip it over sideways, it looks like.
Yeah,
yeah,
where
I
it's
mean-
like it looks like it might be dragging the header. Yeah, that one.
That's the
Well,
thing. Yes.
He ran like a 63 or a 62 this day also. I wish our freaking website was still up because it had so much valuable information on there. But yeah, this blown profit car, very beautiful. And it is for sale. Hartung has it for sale, does he not? Bruce
Correct.
Hartung?
Yes.
Yeah. Shout out Bruce Hartung. My dad bought a car from him around this same time in 2006. And
Shout
it's a
out to
great car.
Bruce. Actually, I think
Bruce.
Travis Oaks is kind of handling the sale. He's got actually that car, that chassis, and other of Bruce's cars for sale right now. So 616
Nice.
Motorsports, if you're interested.
Shout out 616 Motorsports. Travis Oaks is a freaking genius. A freaking genius.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I put a picture of here of Mike Goodale on his 3-wheeler.
Well, you skipped a couple cars there.
Well, I know because I want to keep the Michigan guys in there.
Okay.
One. We'll
Keep us
go
happy.
back in order. But anyway, I got this picture of this 3-wheeler in here of Mike Goodale, and the only reason I put the picture of that in there is because shout out Mike Goodale,
Absolutely.
shout out Josh, shout out Dan. They all do great shit. But this laydown right here in this picture, he took our track record that day, and he actually set the tone for our track record. It was like 324, 325 on this laydown. In 2006, he was running 320s. Ain't that crazy? That's insane. There's probably been quicker than that, is there not, Isaac? In 2006?
I think
He was in the 3.0s.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it's been 3.0s. I believe now, and we're gonna have to have one of the bike guys on to get this straight. I'm pretty sure that's a Tex Andy English chassis. Maybe
I think you're right, Isaac, actually, now that you say that.
'Cause I
know
think-
that he built the chassis he's running today.
yeah,
in the
because I seem to
car.
remember they brought it up with them to the Nationals one year, brought the chassis up, that they had finished it off, and then, I think it was that next summer that Mike had that bike fully together and out and everything. So
Well, I got a quick question for you guys. How many of these guys that we are talking about tonight on Throwback Thursday are still out and about? How many of these lay down bikes, these dragsters, are still out there running? And I'm really interested, is the Nitro Volkswagen engine still out there?
I know Jim Bailey's still out and about. I don't know how much
Yes,
racing he's
Bailey's out
done
racing.
lately. Is he
Usually hires
racing
it.
again?
He
Buying
hires
cars
someone
and
to drive his
racing.
cars.
I was gonna say he's buying cars.
Buying
John-
cars and racing. So he's still up in the game.
Okay.
Oh, let's see who else you got.
And then we
here.
got Frank Marticelli. I don't think Frank's in the sport anymore.
No, he was selling clay shots last I looked on Facebook, so he's out.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Randy
Frank's turned into a
Vanderput
chicken
is
farmer from Texas.
who?
Basically.
Frank.
Oh. And then Randy Vanderput with the Pro Charge car. Is he still around?
Retired.
He's retired. Okay. Well,
The
he's
car
retired.
still runs though.
The car still. Yes, the
Yeah.
car lives on.
Yeah, we just talked
There's
about
nothing-
that.
The
We
car.
went through
this-
the whole
yeah.
episode on that car.
And then
Yeah.
Pat Goodell with this Crude Awakening car. Randy Kimberly has the Crude Awakening car, and Pat, is he's transitioned to Street Outlaws or something? Like, what is he
Well,
doing?
he's semi-retired. Let's just put it that way at this point.
Semi.
Yeah.
Well, he needs to meet me. If me and Cody come out there to Larry Wagner race, he needs to be there so we can bet $1 bills on the side of the track like we always do. It's my favorite
Oh,
part
yeah,
about going to
Pat,
Michigan.
Oh,
Yeah.
Pat's
Do
Treasure
you remember when
dollars.
we did that, John? You, me, and
Absolutely.
Pat sat up there and just bet dollar bills on each race. It was a great time.
It was awesome. I
It
would
was.
Now,
like
who came out ahead on that?
Pat always does because he's okay. So anyway, back to Dave's question. Jay Portanga in this green, yellow, and black blown profit dragster. The dragster, as I said, is for sale. But Jay is very much still in the sport.
Very much so.
with his
Jay's
kids and his
granddaughters are
grandkids.
starting to flex their muscle a little bit too.
I know it's getting
Yeah, they
scary
are.
out there. It's getting scary out there for these older guys. It really is.
Which is good.
Mike Goodell has not raced a three-wheeler in a long time. He's had that buggy for quite some time after his unfortunate accident, but he still races. I don't know if he made a pass last year or not, but I know he still races.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mike still races. There's two more people in these pictures that we haven't got to yet. One is a picture of the all infamous Danger Zone car driven by Terry Glasscock from somewhere in Missouri. I can't remember if it's Belton or something like that. But he turbocharged 6-cylinder Corvair engine, Chevy Corvair engine, and that thing flew. It never ran like a crazy 270 pass or something, but it was always a very competitive top eliminator car and always on the number. I remember when they would bracket race their top eliminator cars like it was nothing back in the day. And I remember his dial-in always being like a 299, 298, 297 or something like that. And
That's
it was,
awesome.
he was it's his wife's car now, yes, but he drove the absolute piss out of that thing. And you're talking about hang time for 300-foot wheelies. That car right there would put on a damn good show. It was very entertaining. And he still did the same way in that Twister car today. That car he drives now. And then just a quick touch on the very kind of unique vehicles you don't really see anywhere, really. Joyce Risher from somewhere in Texas with her Sidewinder blown alcohol car, running it in top alcohol back in the day. This is
too much anymore.
No, not at all. I remember being up close to it and seeing everything sideways. I don't remember how everything was set up, but there has to be chain driven maybe or something like that.
Yeah.
Most likely. Hopefully the chain never broke because usually I know John Force, when he first started racing, he got banned from a track run in the Sidewinder funny car.
Really?
Chain kept hitting the starter.
Oh, wow. Well, they may have had issues like that, but I really can't tell from these photos. But if somebody knows about that car, comment on YouTube, leave us a message, message us, tell us about this George Fisher car, please. But yeah, that was kind of my throwback Thursday back to this Bad Nationals in June of 2006. And yeah, pretty sweet. And the history that comes with it too, because like you get people from Texas and Michigan meeting up in Kansas City before, social media even got like real popular, so it was really cool seeing this kind of group of racers meet up in the time it was in. So I think this is where we're going to wrap up the show this week. And we will be back next week, PSDA week, Pro Sand Drags at Dome Valley. Shout the Dome.
Woo-hoo.
We'll have special interviews for next week's show as well. And that'll do it. That'll do it for us here at World Sand Drag News Paddle Talk. One more thing, Damian. What do you got?
Make sure everyone you're watching this on YouTube, like, comment, share, subscribe. Try and help us out any way we can.
Isaac, you got something else?
I know, basically just same thing. Hey, if you like what you're seeing, like, comment, subscribe, and also again, leave us some comments as far as if you got questions or something like that. Man, we'd love to have a segment, weekly or bi-weekly. Just answer some things if you want to know about sand drag racing or events or something like that. We'd love to talk about that kind of stuff as well. So
we would love to read your comments on the show. Please comment with questions, just like concerns, just interesting comments in general. Please let us know your questions, your concerns, and all that stuff, and we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it right here on the show. And Dave, one more thing. What's up?
Yeah, I just want to remind everybody that we talk about the drivers a lot. Let's definitely not forget about those that are with them, helping them.
Right.
The mechanics, the tuners, the guys that are putting air in the tires. I don't care what they're doing. Keep them in mind. If it wasn't for them, these guys wouldn't be holding these records either.
Absolutely.
All righty. Well, we will see you guys next week. Thank you for tuning in. Give us a follow on Spotify and YouTube. Check out our Facebook pages, Instagram. We have a TikTok now. Damian's been going crazy since we got TikTok. So go check us out on TikTok. And we'll see you guys next week for another episode of Paddle Talk. On behalf of John Sorg, Isaac Dehann, Dave Applegate, Damian Bowers, and myself, Billy Teters, see you next week. PSDA week at Dome Valley.